When a homeless services authority in the state of California, specifically in the city of Los Angeles, gets defunded, oh, you know you've got issues. Do you think there might be some transparency issues? Do you think there might be some accountability issues? I think so. Due to the billions of dollars that have been spent, I don't really know where it went. Let's get into it. Here we go. Let's see what this defunding looks like. Los Angeles Board of Supervisors has voted to pull funding from the regional agency tasked with combating the homelessness crisis and will instead create a new countywide department to take on the effort. Very recently, you had a major court case in the city of Los Angeles. I think it was city and not county. And the judge is basically like, what in the F is going on with the spending on homelessness nonsense in the city? You guys have no accountability. And the mayor's like, at least I wasn't in Ghana on this one, right? You've literally got the blind leading the blind. Now, what I would say in favor of LA and California is that homelessness, although it is still increasing, it's increasing at a slower rate. Okay? All right. Because some of the funding has been pulled back. And when you don't build it, guess what? They won't come. Republicans learned that a long time ago. Yeah, we're going to look at Oklahoma. We're going to outlaw homelessness in every city except one's over 300,000 population, and there's only like 2. So basically everywhere, homelessness illegal. And you know what happens? You don't have a lot of homeless folks in Oklahoma. Mainly because it's really hot and just a nasty place to be, hot in the summer and really cold in the winter at times. The board voted 4-0 on Tuesday to revoke hundreds of millions in taxpayers' dollars, pull them back annually for the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority after audits and a judge found that the agency couldn't properly account for much of its funding. This happens all the time. You got the homeless industrial complex, right? And all of this money just being dumped into these entities and nobody knows where it goes. Where did it go? I'm not really sure. Don't really know. Accountability? Well, the individual entities that get the money, they don't really talk to each other. Figure out a plan and go with it. Get a plan, Stan, right? Get on the bus, Gus. The county will now shift the previously earmarked funds towards creating a new countywide department to manage the crisis, which Supervisor Lindsay Horvath said will be modeled after the Department of Health Services for Housing for Health program, which she said has the best success rate in the region. I don't believe anything anybody says that's related to the homeless industrial complex. I just don't. Well, we've seen good value with this program. Yeah, right. Whatever. How's your homelessness doing? Is it going up or is it coming down? It's still going up. Okay. Then what are you doing? Well, we're just spending a lot of money and we built it and they came and now we're stuck with them. Los Angeles County is leaving the status quo behind and is embracing a model for homeless services that centers accountability and results. We've reimagined, we've rethought it, and here we are. All right, you're just doing something again, right? You're just redoing something again. Horvath said in a release, "This isn't making the system bigger. It's making it work better. This is the spin, which our communities have been demanding for years." Well, when you've got homelessness all over and you got a bunch of nut jobs running around with swords and they're all on the Fetty, which is super cheap because the southern border has been wide open for years. Not now. Not now. It's not wide open now. But you still got the Fetty problem, right? Get those drugs in. Get those drugs in. Those people need those drugs. Taxpayer funding originally meant for the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority will be stripped from the agency by next year. You know, King County that I live in, did the exact same thing. King County Regional Homeless Authority or Housing Authority. You guys suck. Your program sucked. Homelessness just to the moon. Going to have to pull that funding back. And they fired the them dude that, was in charge. Just another debacle. Just no accountability. What are we spending money on? How come homelessness is just exploding? Well, it's because it's a industrial complex that if they actually do their job, which is they reduce homelessness, get people housed, get people off the drugs, get people off the Fetty, get people that are mentally endangering not only themselves, but the public by their presence in the public, get those people the help that they need. If they do that, they're out of a job. There's no more homeless folks. What are we going to do? And that's never going to be the case, is it? No, because you're always going to have a certain segment of the population that's going to, fall through the cracks. What you've got now is you've got a whole segment of the population that just flat doesn't want to work. They want to be lazy. They want to have everything delivered to them. And in these big blue Democrat states and cities and counties, that's what they do. You need some food? Here, I'll throw you a sandwich. Oh, you need a tent? There you go. Just call this 911 hotline. And these folks have cell phones, right? They got cell phones, but no job. You know what I mean? Hey, you need some food? You need some paraphernalia to shoot those drugs? Oh, we got you covered. We got you covered. Horvath was joined in the vote by fellow supervisors Catherine Barger, whatever, bunch of people that said, don't want to do that anymore. While unanimity was essentially reached at the county level, Los Angeles city leaders had urged the county leaders not to pull funding from the Los Angeles Housing Authority and instead work on solutions to better rein in spending, increase transparency in the agency. I am so tired of all of this. We need more transparent. How about you just reduce homelessness? I don't care how you do it. Just go out there and do it, Sparky. You know what I mean? But they're not going to, because that in and of itself defeats the end goal, which is you got to have a lot of people making a couple $100,000 a year at executive levels saying, good Lord, we need more transparency. We need more we need more housing. If we could just get some more housing. And it never works, right? It just doesn't work. Shouldn't say it doesn't ever work. But the rates at which the budgets are expanded for the population that has correspondingly expanded, you look at those and you go, yep, build it and they will come. Los Angeles Housing Authority desperately needs more transparency and accountability. I'm so tired of that. However, the speed at which the county is moving raises serious concerns about service disruptions. So they don't want to have the money pulled from this homeless authority because you're going to have that transition time where people aren't going to be taken care of at all. But sometimes you just got to yank off that Band-Aid and get the money into the new King County the new county program. Look at this homeless tent. Get the Dodgers represented right there. Bunch of crap on top. To think that we just allow people to live like this and go, and they get to the point where they can get into treatment and they'll do that. And somehow that's a positive approach to all this. That's the harm reduction approach, right? Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass agreed that there have been persistent and systemic issues. That's another word I want to outlaw. Systemic. Cut it. Just get rid of it. Don't care. Could not care less. Systemic? Really? Is it systemic? I don't think so. Systemic issues with the housing authority and the region's approach to battling homelessness, but argued that the corner has already been turned in the last 2 years since she took office and made the crisis her main priority. Now, the deal is if you pull funding from a program on her watch, it's going to fail for sure, right? It's going to fail more than it already has. And she doesn't want that on her resume, doesn't want that on her list of things that didn't really work out all that well. So she's going to say, well, let's just keep the status quo. We'll keep moving forward. It's going to be great. Hallelujah. Praise be. Homelessness. We are making forward movement. We must keep building on this and confronting our challenges together. Ugh, such political nonsense. The two highlighted the decrease in homelessness in LA City in the previous point-in-time count. I don't believe those point-in-time counts for 1 second. Yeah, they're homeless. No, I don't see any. No, none to see here. And literally, you got rookies out there, every single count. They don't know what they're doing. They're not going to get into the labyrinth of tunnels and forests and, all those areas where the homeless really are. Plus, they want to keep the homeless numbers up and they don't want to reduce them too much because funding decreases. Oh, yeah. While homelessness rises across the country, we are driving it down. Are you? Okay. All right. And have dispelled the myth that people want to live on the streets. Not true. They do want to live there. We see interviews of that every single day. Yeah, they make it too easy for us. That's why we're living here. Why would I get a job? I've got everything I need just right here. All my friends are here. We're all doing drugs in the middle of the night, just whacked out of our mind. Greatest thing ever. We locked arms, each declaring a state of emergency, and have moved with unprecedented urgency. We are making forward movement. All right. Okay. I believe you. But the supervisors ultimately decided that the Los Angeles Housing Services Authority had failed taxpayers, and the progress will need much more oversight and transparency. Let's get oversight out of there and transparency for sure. Eliminate that along with systemic. Just boom, gone, done. Just, it's irrelevant. It's been used so much that it's absolute nonsense. As this whole defunding thing goes on, Measure A sales tax goes into effect. That went into effect yesterday. Here's what LA County voters approved. Voters approved a 50-cent sales tax to fund homelessness programs in LA County. Here's where that money will go. So it's a half point bump, but they're going to retire a quarter point bump that's in place that's supposed to go, I think, till 2027. So you got a quarter point bump in sales tax in LA County, meaning prices are going up because voters decided, well, we just don't quite have enough money for all the homeless issues we got going on. We need more tax revenue, right? These are things that you are voting in. If you didn't vote these things in, then build it and they will come does not become a thing. And yep, we've got less funding. We're very sorry. We're going to have to turn you away. And then eventually people go elsewhere, right? I mean, when they don't have all the services, they don't have all the freebies, they don't have all the handouts, then they're going to go elsewhere. And that's what Republicans learned long ago. Do not construct it. They will not come because there's nothing to come to. Super basic. But you've got leadership that believes with misguided compassion, we can save everybody. Let's bump up that tax structure. Sales tax approved by voters in November to fund programs that combat the homelessness crisis in LA County went into effect Tuesday. The increase means people in unincorporated areas and cities that did not impose their own voter-approved sales taxes will see an increase from 9.5 to 9.75. The tax is expected to generate $1 billion annually. That is how your sales tax goes out of just explodes. That's how your state income tax just boop to the moon. That's how your taxes on business, all of this stuff, it all works together, right? Washington State is no different. We're looking at a bunch of harebrained taxes right now. Oh, we got a big budget gap. Shocker, right? Coming out of COVID and all the downtown core stuff that tax revenue is not coming from. Real estate taxes are way down. Excise taxes are way down. And those are the big drivers of big city economies. And when you don't have that, well, we've got a budget deficit. What are we going to do? We're going to tax big business. We're going to throw an unrealized capital gain tax in Washington State. We're going to throw that out there. We're going to fly that out there and see what happens. Probably unconstitutional, probably won't last in the court system. But let's throw it out there anyway, because you know what? Got to tax Amazon. Got to tax all those people that, have worked really hard and created incredible wealth for themselves. We need to just take a bit from them. Just take a bit from them. And then eventually there's no big business left. Where'd they all go? Don't get it. Why'd they leave? Not really sure. Literally right now, you got a $47 million deficit, city of Seattle. I mean, it's specifically because of the tax Amazon. Our mayor came right out and said that. This happened. Maybe we shouldn't do that again. We need more transparency. We need to get the systemic part of this figured out. You got this half cent sales tax that's going to happen. Supporters claim the region's homeless crisis would get worse if Measure H expired without a replacement. And that's what this new tax is. It's a replacement to fund services in a wider range of resources like new affordable housing. I often wonder just in the back of my head, no, it's in the front of my head. What would happen if Los Angeles, day one, cut off all funding for homelessness? Just like tomorrow. Tomorrow's a Thursday. It's the 3rd of April. Doors closed, cut off the funding. What would happen? You'd have chaos for a while, but then you'd also have a situation where those people are realizing there's no support for them anymore. They got to move on. They got to do something. You know where a lot of them would go? Oregon. Yeah. Washington. Hey, Washington's still handing out the freebies. Let's go there. everything but the drugs, handing it out. Now, a lot of these cities have cut back because the optics on handing out booty bump kits, which is where you put the drugs up to your backside because everything else is failing on you because you've abused it so badly. And I use that as an example of literally what City of Seattle has come up with. NGOs involved, get the funding, a booty bump kit, literally taxpayers' dollars paying for people, but to get the drugs in their system and through their backside. I mean, it's crazy stuff, but that's the kind of stuff that you learn to recognize that maybe, just maybe, this isn't exactly how things should be going. Maybe, just maybe, this isn't where the money should be going. I don't know. I'm just saying that, out loud. But then again, I don't support most of the politics here. But the flip side to that is I've got podcasts for days, and I hammer on that because I do. Every single day, I could be doing a podcast on what some joker down in Olympia in the state of Washington is doing. I think we should fund this. And you're like, that is a harebrained idea. But I see where you're going with that. You, my friend, are a Democrat. That's a terrible idea. No, no, no. But you know what happens? It passes, and because there just aren't enough people with reason in the state of Washington. How will Measure A funds be used? That's this new half-point tax. A bunch of stuff. Affordable housing, mental health, addiction treatment, services to children, families, veterans, domestic violence survivors, seniors, and disabled people experiencing homelessness. Ugh. Just billions and billions and billions of dollars being spent. Hey, doesn't seem to be getting better, but let's just keep doing what we're doing and spend a little bit more, and we'll see how it works out. How's that working out? Yeah. About 60% of the revenue generated by the sales tax will cover costs for homelessness services, and 15% of that will be distributed to cities based on the annual point in time count of homeless people. The whole thing is so effed. It's so effed. All right, you got a lot of homeless, you got more money. That's great. Another 35, almost 36% will support the LA County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency, which was created in 2023 by the state legislator, which is being pulled. That's the entity that's the funding is being pulled for. All right. The exact specifics, we're going to go through this just real quick. This isn't bad. It's a 5-point plan. We're going to go through with their goals. Here are their goals. Increase the number of people moving from encampments on the streets into permanent housing. All right. Admirable. Reduce the number of people with mental illness or substance use disorders who are experiencing homelessness. How are you going to do that? You're going to get them into treatment involuntarily. You're going to get them into mental, facilities involuntarily because they don't want to go. They don't want to go. Increase the number of people permanently leaving homelessness. All right. How are you going to do that? That's a tough drill because I don't know if you've ever been to a homeless encampment. You got a lot of people running around on drugs who are they're whacked out of their gourd. And especially in California, because you've let this go on for years and years and years. Let the homeless do their thing. When they get to it, they'll go into treatment. And then they end up dying in their early 50s, which literally is kind of the age out. General population here in King County lives to about 76. Age of a homeless person, about 52. So a third of their life is just because of misguided compassion. Prevent people falling into homelessness. All right. How are you going to do that? Well, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. Well, why haven't you been doing that? Increase the number of affordable housing units in Los Angeles County. I say go the other way. No more affordable housing. No more funding for all this stuff. And just see what happens. I mean, it couldn't get any worse, right? Los Angeles has, state of California has a third of the homelessness population in the entire United States because they built it and they funded all these programs and they came and now they're stuck with it. Yeah. Elected officials and related agencies also are required to establish goals every 5 years and to track that progress. So what happens next? The whole thing is just, you're left with this Okay, well, I'm sure that'll work out just fine. You've just got agency after agency saying the same tired things. And the bottom line is there's millions and millions and millions of dollars to prop up the homeless industrial complex, and nobody wants to give that money up. So therefore, you limp it along, and the general public is like, why can't you clear out this encampment? Well, because there's no real incentive to do that. And they do on a limited basis. They'll come by and they'll clean out and it'll just all go back to it like that because these are human beings. These are people. You can't sweep these people under the rug like some trash on, a building site and then, hey, it's all cleaned up. It's all good to go. These people come back because they actually have to have a place to live and they're going to live in the tent, wherever that might be. And they're not going to go into affordable housing. They're not going to go get treatment. They're not going to go into a mental facility unless they are involuntarily placed there. Now you're talking. But this is California. And I live in Washington State. Not happening here either, because that would be cruel and unusual punishment. And instead, we let these nut jobs on drugs run around with swords and just, live action role play at life as a drug addict. That's what they do. We see it all the time. The news stories are out there continuously. And what does the general population do? Oh, if we just ignore that, maybe it'll go away. Good Lord, does that guy have just a sword? Is he got a machete? Is he going after that guy with the sword with the machete? Yes, he is. How is that legal? It's not. Why is that happening? Because, Looney Tune drug addicted folks in big blue liberal cities, they get to do whatever the F they want. They're not going to jail. They're not going to a mental institute. They're not going to treatment. Not going anywhere, but back on the streets as soon as some judge says, well, do better next time. Wish we had more facilities to help you out. Now, some people do get the help that they need, but those are the people that want it. And those are a tiny, tiny fraction of the population we're talking about, because we're talking about the people that have been outside, living on the streets for years and years and years, and they're not going anywhere. And that is what bogs down the system, because they're not going anywhere. You sweep them out, they come right back. Sweep them out, come right back. Massive amounts of resources spent on that. Homeless industrial complex. Nobody really wants to clean it up because it's big business. And guess what? Especially in California, business is booming. Huh. Yeah, weird. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.